Come in and sit down.
You may. All right. Today is Friday, September 8th, 10:40. My name is Ethan Benjamin Farber. These two gentlemen have appeared at my door and they would request an interview. I don't see a reason to decline this, so we'll go ahead and give them what they want. Please identify yourself for the record.
There's my card.
Please identify yourself verbally.
Andrew Schweier.
And you are? What's your assignment?
I'm with Cincinnati FBI.
All right. You are?
Robert Blankenship, buddy, and I'm a city policeman assigned to the Joint Terrorism Task
City
Force, the
of?
FBI. City of Cincinnati.
All right. So, what can I do for you today?
So, Ethan, there was information passed to us that you had been in a class through EMA and created a little bit of a disruption.
Slow down. Who passed on the information? Who passed on this information?
The complainant in this is anonymous, so I don't have that information. There was just
So you don't have that information. Is that your claim?
I'm not giving you that information.
All right. So do you not have it, or you're not giving it?
Either way, you're not going to get the information.
And EMA is
The emergency management
emergency management.
in Cincinnati. Did you
In
take a class
Cincinnati?
with them in June?
You need to be more clear with your definitions.
Did you take a class through emergency management in June of this year?
Well, there's the FEMA Emergency Management Institute online. Do you know of that institution?
No.
I mean, there's a lot of emergency management
This
institutes.
was an in-person class that may have been held in Kentucky.
It may have been held in Kentucky. You need to give me more information about what you're asking me. You're being overly broad.
Well, did you take an emergency management class for a former employer in June of this year? Maybe through the Health Collaborative?
Maybe not. I mean,
Maybe,
that's
maybe
what
not.
I need to know more about your reasons for asking. You need to be more specific your definitions.
Definitions really aren't important.
Well, let me ask you this: well, it is, because otherwise you're being overly broad. I mean, I took a bunch of classes through FEMA's Emergency Management Institute online. I've taken over 100 of them, and I've got a folder full of certificates to prove it.
Okay.
You said emergency
I'm not concerned about your certificates.
Well, evidently
I'm
you did, because-
I'm concerned about a in-person class that you attended
What is the nature of your concern?
in which people said that you were accusing them of acting strangely, and then there was a concern that you acted strangely.
Is that a crime?
No, which is part of the reason that it's been since June that we're coming to talk to you, because I don't know that there's a criminal act
So you're saying that
associated
if
here.
if there's not a criminal act, so you're saying that you
Well,
don't
the-
have reason to believe that a crime occurred?
The current concern is, if we're talking about emergency management, was there an ulterior motive to taking the classes that may have a national security interest?
Do you have a reason to believe that?
That's why I'm here to ask.
Do you answer my question? Do you have a reason to believe that there's some kind of ulterior motive involved?
No, that's why I'm here to ask and confirm that there's not.
Can you be more specific? Like, you say ulterior motive. That's a very broad term. For example, if I wanted to, boost my career by getting a bunch of degrees and certifications, like I say I'm going there because, I want to do something for the hospital. But really, I'm looking to boost my career, learn new things, but I'm not really there to help the hospital. This is just for me and my career. Would that be an ulterior motive?
Not from my perspective.
So,
no.
all right, so let's narrow your definition down a little bit. What is your definition of ulterior motive?
Well, it would be to cause harm to the United States.
How would taking a class on something hospital related? How do you think I'd be able to leverage? How do you think a hypothetical person would be able to leverage knowledge of hospital continuity or something like that? I don't remember what the topic of any such classes, but how do you think you could leverage that to cause harm to the U.S.? That'd be pretty good.
Well, maybe if you're taking a water filtration class, it would tell you the purposes or means by which you could avoid detection in putting poison into the water.
So, are you accusing me as a Jewish person of applying to poison wells?
First of all, I've never brought up that you were a Jewish person. You brought that up.
So you were previously aware?
Secondly, no, you just mentioned it.
No, you said...
Secondly, you asked for a hypothetical situation in which taking emergency management classes could potentially allow you to leverage a criminal event, so I provided one.
That's where you're getting to level for all fantasy. I mean, I could, maybe I could disassemble my microwave and use it to make a ray gun, and you should come in wearing a tinfoil hat, right? I mean, we can make all kinds of insane scenarios.
Correct.
The point is though, that scenario wouldn't be considered reasonable or rational unless you had reason to believe that I was disloyal to the U.S., plotting to harm the U.S.
No, unfortunately, when complaints come in, no matter what the complaint is, we have to follow up on those complaints.
So, but you're
So
the initial-
I'm here to follow up on the potential that there was some nefarious reason behind it. So we can continue back and forth on the dialogue, or we can simply get to the basics of, you were there to try to advance your career, and you're not going to cause any harm to anyone. You're not seeking to cause any harm to anyone. You're just trying to advance your career.
Well, let me ask you this. How can I help you and provide whatever it is you're looking for such that you'll be satisfied, close the case, and say, we're done? What can I do for you?
Well, I'd say, we've posed some direct questions about, did you attend a class? Can you give us details about that class that you remember, as far as anything that would have been strange or out of the ordinary to you? And then the bottom line to the questioning is, was there any ulterior motive in terms of criminal intent for you attending those classes?
No, those are questions about circumstances. I'm looking for questions about final resolution.
Answering those questions would be able to allow me to close my final resolution to say, we don't think Ethan is planning anything evil against the United States.
Anything evil? It sounds like somebody's been reading a lot of emails, because
Well,
I'm very good at I have very high verbal intelligence. You probably know that. But so let me condense that statement. So if I tell you, if I were to say that I was at so and such an event, then you would and establish a circumstance event, then you would conclude, based on that statement, that there is no way I could possibly intend harm toward the United States. Is that your statement?
No, just because you attended that event would not conclude that you had.
And it seems like you didn't answer my question.
intent.
Then you didn't answer my question, because the question asked was, how can I answer your question?
Ethan, is it your intent to answer our questions or not? If you don't want us here, we'll leave.
No, I want to help you.
It's worth at least stopping by to say hello to a guy and ask him if he'll talk to us.
I've talked to you.
If you don't want to talk to us, we'll go.
No, I'm more than eager to talk to you. I wouldn't have invited you into my beloved home if I didn't have occasion to speak to you. By the way, it's 10:40. Most people be at work right now, so you evidently have some knowledge of my schedule. But anyway, sorry, it's a pen. Let me grab
No,
it.
that's just when we work.
Well, I mean, I do know. Anyway, that's interesting. But anyway, no, I mean, obviously, I want to speak to you. I want to, have a dialogue with you. I want to, help you out here. If I didn't assent to this questioning, I would just ignored you or not let you in. So no, obviously, I do want to speak to you and help you out. I just want to make sure that this dialogue is useful, establishes the goal we're looking to accomplish. You say that you have an anonymous complaint alleging that I am plotting an act of large-scale terrorism against the United States,
No, that's not what we said.
All right. I attended the class for reasons contrary to the interests and security of the United States.
No, actually, we didn't say that either.
I attended the class. I was a jerk.
You attended a class and could have been a jerk, even though those weren't our words. And then the question was, because it's an EMA class and there's no, to our knowledge, we're not sure why you attended those classes. The question was, is there any type of nefarious
Did you not
activity?
previously say that I took the class by way of a previous employer?
You did.
So would that not be the reason, logically, that I took the class was for the purpose of being of service to a previous employer?
I don't know. Were you employed by the employer at that time?
I actually don't remember, to be perfectly honest. But
So if you weren't employed by the employer at that time, then maybe there's not reason for you to take that class, other than personal satisfaction.
Would that be a suitable motive?
Could be.
So, if it were established that the class was taken,
So Ethan, we're gonna cut the conversation quick, because all you want to do is talk in circles instead of.
no, I've made
No, stop.
I've made it very clear.
No,
my goal is to help you, and I want to help you. But the problem is,
Then answer the questions instead of asking with questions.
well, I don't have to answer any of your questions, but I'm
Okay.
trying to help
Thank
you.
you.
Which is why it seems to me you came here to inflate an accusation that I was a jerk
Ethan,
into a threat
if-
to national security.
if you have,
this seems like a case of
if you have-
harassment, and that's very concerning to
if
me.
you have
and the reason I
questions-
spoke to you, well, yes, I do have a bunch of questions. Could you answer them?
Maybe.
What burden of proof would satisfy you that there was no breach to national security by my attendance at a class about hospitals and such?
Open and honest answers to our questions. That's all.
In what respect
We're
of the
not
field?
making an accusation. To be
Well-
quite, if you'll give me just a moment.
Certainly.
During this class, something caused you concern. Concern to an extent that you were disruptive during the class. At the very least, you being an intelligent person, we would like to know what your concern was, what you observed that concerned you to a point that you became disruptive during the class.
That's a loaded
Was
question.
there, you accused people of being suspicious. What was the suspicious activity that you observed during that class? That was one of the things we'd like to know. Maybe we should be looking somewhere else. Something caused you concern during that class. We'd just like to know what it is. If you'd rather not talk to us, we'll leave and continue our day.
One moment, please. Let me say for the record that the reason I'm answering this question is because it is my goal to work in emergency management, because I've put a considerable amount of time and energy into this is my answer to you, and it's going to be a constructive and useful and complete answer. You'll take my word on that while I speak. But it has been my ambition for a long time to work in emergency management, and the reason I want to do that is because it's very clear to me that it's a field of emerging importance. And frankly, I like the security of federal employment. You know, you get, what do you call it? Fares, federal employment retirement. I like the stability, so forth and so on. So for that reason, it's very attractive. Now, the other day, I actually applied for a series of temporary positions at FEMA. So it's possible that this is here by way of investigating my character. And to that end, I'd point out that I actually did agree to speak with you and looked for. I asked questions intended to resolve the line of questioning which you opened up. So I will say, in answer to your question, that I've taken a number of courses recently in the emergency management field because I'm interested in the field. It's of emerging importance. Also, as you no doubt know, I have a CPA candidacy. I'm incredibly lazy. I need to work harder at prepping for it. One of the things that was mentioned at the I don't know if it was any particular seminars, but one of the seminars, that there's a real shortage of people with financial backgrounds in EMS, because for some reason it usually attracts, cops, firefighters, other, I guess you call them I'm not sure half the brain that is, but it seemed to me that there was a career niche available. So I made it my business to learn more and acquire more certifications and just, get more into the field. It's just all about me and my career. Because as I said, you surely know it's a field of emerging importance. Regarding what happened, thinking how to answer your question. I feel the circumstances, which were corroborated by my subsequent email dialogue, which I'm sure you have, with the Cincinnati Fusion Center, implied that there had been a breach of the Federal Privacy Act of 1974 by misusing my criminal record and things about my background for the purpose of retaliation following a difference of opinion. Yes, I know that means for being recorded. Thank you. So, if you were to talk about a crime being committed, it would seem that coming to harass somebody based on allegations that they are disloyal to the U.S., which cannot possibly be substantiated because anyone who's familiar with me and my, behavior knows I love my country and that I have very high hopes for the best future for our country, that I am very vigorous in my support for our democratic system, and that's not, you don't get from there to plotting evil against the U.S. But if a violation of privacy occurred, then perhaps you should look into the question of whether the Privacy Act 1974 were violated by digging into somebody's criminal background because you don't like them. Is that a satisfactory, useful answer to your question?
Is the breach of your privacy the concern that you levied during that class? My question just was what caused you such great concern during this class that you took that you became disruptive and began to point out some of these concerns?
That's a loaded question. You're building your assumption. I don't agree with that interpretation. I don't agree that I became disruptive. In point of fact, I completed class. I've completed every class that I've attended. I've gotten all my certificates. I don't recall having ever seen fit. I might be mistaken here, but if my memory serves me properly, I might be mistaken. I've never had occasion to complain to any responsible authority. Hey, something happened. Your people suck. Whatever. So I don't see any basis for me to claim that I was disruptive. And if I were, even if you've got that concern, being disruptive is not a crime. It seems to me that you're leveraging an allegation I was disruptive into claiming them disloyal to the U.S., which is a massive, or that there's some kind of criminal intent, thing like that, which is a massive leap of logic. Well, as I asked you earlier in the dialogue, the reason I spoke to you was for the hope of wrapping this whole thing up, which is why I explained my reasons for taking an abundance of EMS courses, which is that I'm very interested in EM as EMS is an area of emerging importance, and that I consider myself a man of impeccable loyalty to the United States, and that there's no criminal intent, no crimes incurred. And I gave you that answer for the purpose of attempting to help you to conclude this case. Now, maybe if that's not really you have some ulterior motive, which is not connected with just determining whether or not a crime has occurred or the potential for a crime.
I'm willing to accept your answer. You willing to accept that answer, AJ?
Sure.
So do we consider this matter settled?
Thank you for inviting us.
And one moment, do we consider this matter settled?
I don't get to make that final decision. I get to write up the conversation that we had and submit that. And then I'll get told if it's closed or not.
And will I be notified, and if so, for what time frame?
No, you won't be notified.
Well, actually, I will be because I'm going to be filing an FOIA. So,
Okay.
If I were to file the FOIA in such a time frame that, how do we say, I get the most complete answer, because if I file an FOIA, you have to comply within, I don't remember what it's specified.
I don't deal with FOIA. That's
Right, but
somebody
you
else
want
who
your
complies
file to
with
be in
that.
order before it gets sent on to the
You
end
can-
user.
you
You
can-
can still start tugging at loose ends, potentially.
You can file your freedom of information anytime you wish.
Well, I want to be helpful to you. I really do, and that's not just me saying that, but I don't like loose ends. I like things to be complete, and I like things to be thorough. Certainly there have been times where I in my professional life have been a work in progress. So what are you doing? Why are you screen full of grammatical errors? Because it's a work in progress. and I want to help you to avoid that situation so you don't get nabbed with a work in progress.
I'm not worried about that situation.
All right.
Thank you for your time, sir.
Naturally.
Have a good day.
If you have any further questions or concerns, I'm extending my hand to you.